Stop looking at the poster. Look at the pavement. In the movies, the city falls apart gracefully. The hero walks down the middle of a deserted Fifth Avenue, shattered glass glittering like diamonds, carrying a tactical crossbow and a ruck that looks like he raided a Navy SEAL supply locker. He is the king of the ruins. That is a lie. And it is a lie that will get you killed in the first 48 hours. When a real city goes down, when the grid fails, the pumps stop, and the social contract dissolves, it doesn't become a playground for the tactically obsessed. It becomes a compactor. A dense, suffocating labyrinth of panicked humanity, failing infrastructure, and terrified authorities who are looking for a reason to detain you. If you bring a Red Dawn mindset into a precipice event in Chicago, New York, or LA, you are not a survivor. You are a target. You are a loot drop. Today, we are stripping the paint off the urban survival fantasy. We are throwing out the grappling hooks and the machetes, and we are looking at the boring, ugly, heavy realities that actually keep you breathing when the lights go out. Let's run the simulation. It's 1400 hours on a Tuesday. The blackout hit 4 hours ago, and the cell towers are oversaturated to the point of silence. The rumour mill says this isn't coming back on for weeks. You decide to bug out. You grab that bag you built watching zombie movies. The inch bag. I'm never coming home. It's 85 pounds of Cordura nylon, strapped with sleeping pads, an entrenching tool, a hatchet, and enough molly webbing to snare a parachute. You look in the mirror and see a warrior. You step out into the hallway of your apartment complex, and the reality hits you like a brick. The elevators are dead. You are on the 24th floor. By the time you hit the lobby, your knees are screaming. But the lobby isn't empty. It's a crush of 300 residents trying to squeeze through a single revolving door. You are twice the width of a normal human because of that pack. You get snagged on a doorframe. Someone shoves you. You shove back. Now you're not just a guy leaving, you're an obstacle. You finally spill out onto the street and it's gridlock. Cars are dead. It's a sea of pedestrians. You are a turtle. You are slow, you are heavy, and worst of all, you are advertising. That giant coyote tan military pack screams, "I have food, I have ammo, and I am too exhausted to defend it." In a dense urban environment, mobility is life. If you cannot move at the speed of the crowd, or faster, you die in the bottleneck. The movie myth is that you need a mobile base of operations on your back. The reality is that you need to be a ghost. This is the grey man concept, but let's strip the cool guy vernacular off it. It means looking broke and boring. If you're wearing camo and carrying a framed rucksack, you're the first person a desperate father targets when his kid is starving. You are the first person the police stop because you look like a paramilitary threat. FEMA and the Red Cross have studied movement patterns in disasters for decades. The people who make it out of the kill zone are the ones with 20-pound day packs that look like diaper bags or beat-up school backpacks. They carry water, documents, cash, and socks. They don't carry tents, they sleep in shelters or designated zones. They don't carry hatchets, they carry multi-tools. Your goal is to look like a refugee, not a commando. A refugee gets passed through the checkpoint. A commando gets searched. Here is the hard truth most of you are ignoring. You think you have 2 weeks of food in that bag. You think you can hike 20 miles out of the city. But you are guessing. You are operating on hope, not data. Hope is not a strategy. You need to know your numbers before the balloon goes up. How many calories do you actually burn carrying 30 pounds? How much water does your family consume per day, really? I built a tool to stop the guessing game. Go to protocolsurvival.com. We built a calculator called the Survival Score. You input your group size, your location, and your gear, and it runs the math against real FEMA burn rate models. It might tell you that your 2-week bag is actually a 3-day bag. It might tell you that you're dead by day 4. That hurts to hear, but I'd rather you get your feelings hurt now than watch your kid look at you with cracked lips, asking for water you don't have later. Go to protocolsurvival.com. Take the test. It's free to try. Fix the math while the internet still works. Myth number 2. The big steal. You've seen the hero walking through the evacuation zone with a kukri or a machete strapped to his thigh. It looks intimidating. It looks prepared. Now put that image into the context of a National Guard containment line. You are shuffling forward with 1,000 other people. The soldiers at the barricade are 19 years old. They haven't slept in 30 hours. They are scared and their rules of engagement are fuzzy. They see a sea of hands and faces, and then they see you. They see a 12-inch blade on your hip. In that split second, you stop being a civilian to protect and start being a combatant to neutralise. "Weapon!" someone screams. You have 3 rifles pointed at your chest before you can blink. Best case scenario? They strip you of the knife, throw you on the ground, zip tie you, and you lose your place in line. Worst case? You twitch and they drop you. In the city, a visible weapon is a liability magnet. It attracts the eyes of the law, and it attracts the eyes of the predators who think, if he has a knife, he has something worth defending. I know what you're thinking. But Sarge, I need it for protection. What about the looters? Let's steelman that argument. Yes, personal security is a priority. Yes, there are bad actors. But if you think you are going to win a knife fight in a crowded street, you are delusional. Knife fights are messy, bloody, and usually fatal for both parties. In a grid-down city, your primary defence is anonymity and de-escalation. If you need a tool, carry a multi-tool. A Leatherman wave can disassemble a door hinge, fix a radio, or cut a seatbelt. It is useful. A machete is useless unless you are bushwhacking through Central Park, which you won't be doing. If you need a blade for utility, keep it in your pocket, under 3 inches. If you are carrying for defence, it needs to be concealed. The moment you display a weapon in a non-permissive urban environment, you have escalated the situation to a level you probably can't control. You want to be the guy the cops wave through because you look harmless. Let the guy with the katana get tackled. You keep walking. This is my personal favourite. The silent weapon, the bow and arrow, or the tactical crossbow. Hollywood loves this because it's quiet and you can reuse ammo. So you're on your rooftop in Brooklyn or Seattle. You've got your compound bow. You think you're going to hunt... what? Pigeons? Rats? Or are you planning to snipe looters from 5 stories up? Let's play that out. You lose an arrow at a shadowy figure breaking into a storefront down the block. You miss. That arrow skitters across the pavement. Now that group of looters knows exactly where you are. And unlike you, with your slow-loading, oversized toy, they have handguns. They have volume of fire. You just signalled your position to the most dangerous element in the sector. Furthermore, try carrying a compound bow through a stairwell panic. Try fitting it into a crowded shelter. The shelter staff will confiscate it at the door. You cannot hide a bow. It is awkward, fragile, and in an urban setting, the engagement distances are usually point blank or hundreds of yards. Both terrible ranges for archery unless you are an Olympian. You want a silent force multiplier? Buy a radio. A Baofeng UV5R or a simple crank emergency radio is worth 10 crossbows. Knowing that the riot is moving north on 5th Street allows you to move south on 6th. That is tactical superiority. Avoidance is 100% effective survival. Combat is a coin toss. Your weapon slot in your bag shouldn't be occupied by a bulky projectile thrower. It should be occupied by a whistle. A high decibel survival whistle. If you are trapped under rubble, or if you are being followed and need to summon the pack, alerting everyone within 4 blocks, that whistle saves your life. An arrow does nothing for you when a building collapses. A whistle brings the rescue dogs. Swap the fantasy of the hunt for the reality of communication. In the city, information is the only ammunition that matters. We have to talk about the rope. Every action movie has the hero rappelling down the side of a glass skyscraper to escape the fire or the terrorists. So you pack 50 feet of paracord, or maybe actual climbing rope if you're ambitious. You're on the 30th floor. The hallway is full of smoke. You smash the window. First problem. Modern skyscrapers use tempered, laminated safety glass. It doesn't break like in the movies, it shatters into a web that stays in the frame. You spend 10 minutes bashing it out. Now you look down. It is a 300-foot drop to a street full of burning debris. You have 50 feet of rope. Do the math. Even if you have 300 feet, do you have a harness? Do you know how to build an anchor point on a drywall office partition? No. You tie it to a desk leg. You step out. The desk slides. You fall. End of story. Vertical extraction in a city is a technical rescue specialist skill set. It is not something you improvise with paracord and a carabiner. If you want to master the building, forget the exterior. Master the guts. The vertical gear you actually need fits in your pocket. It's called a Silcock key. It's a 4-way cross wrench that opens the tamper-proof water spigots on the sides of commercial buildings. When the taps run dry in the apartments, the commercial lines often still have pressure, or at least residual water in the system. That key gets you hydration. Next, get a door wedge, a simple rubber wedge. When you are moving through stairwells, fire doors lock behind you. If you need to retreat and that door is locked, you are trapped in the smoke. A wedge keeps your retreat open. Finally, a headlamp. The stairwells in high-rises are windowless concrete tubes. When the power cuts, they are pitch black and filled with panicked people. A hands-free light lets you navigate, help your kids, and keep your balance. Rope is for cowboys. Keys, wedges, and lumens are for survivors. Scenario: a dirty bomb scare or a chemical plant fire. The news says toxic plume. You pull out that surplus Israeli gas mask you bought at a gun show for $20. You strap it on. You feel invincible. You step outside. 3 things happen. 1. You realise you never shaved your beard, so the seal is garbage. You are breathing 40% outside air anyway. 2. The filter expired in 1998. It's not filtering anything. It might actually be leaking charcoal dust into your lungs. 3. Your peripheral vision is gone. You are walking blind. You trip over a curb and sprain your ankle. Now you are immobile in a contamination zone. The full-face respirator is the hallmark of the amateur. Unless you have trained in mop gear, unless you know exactly what agent is in the air and have the specific canister for it, that mask is a suffocation device. It creates heat stress, panic, and communication failure. Try talking to a police officer through a vintage rubber mask. They won't understand you. They'll just see a masked threat. Real urban air hazards are usually particulates, dust from collapsed buildings, smoke from fires, pulverised concrete. You don't need a sealed CBRN suit. You need a box of N95s, the valveless kind. They fold flat. You can carry 10 of them in the space of 1 gas mask filter. They filter out the concrete dust that turns to cement in your lungs. Pair that with unvented safety goggles. Swimming goggles work in a pinch, to keep the smoke out of your eyes. This setup weighs nothing. It allows you to shout. It allows you to aim a weapon if you have to. And it doesn't make you look like a terrorist. When 9/11 happened, The people who walked away with their lungs intact weren't wearing military masks. They were holding wet rags or dust masks over their faces. Don't overcomplicate breathing. If it's a true nerve agent attack, you're dead anyway without an atropine injector. For everything else, keep it simple. Keep it light. I see kits online that are insane. Snare wire, fishing hooks, ferro rods, tinder bundles, in a major metropolitan area. What is the plan here? Are you going to snare a pigeon in Times Square? Are you going to batten firewood from a park bench and start a campfire on a balcony? This is the Jeremiah Johnson fallacy applied to the concrete jungle. In a city, there is no wood to burn that isn't treated with toxic chemicals. Burning pressure-treated lumber or painted furniture releases cyanide and arsenic. You cook your dinner over that, you don't wake up. And fishing? If the sewage treatment plants are down, the local waterways are basically open septic tanks. You eat a fish out of the Hudson or the LA River 3 days into a grid-down scenario, you are inviting dysentery to the party. Bushcraft skills are valuable in the woods. In the city, they are a distraction. You are not foraging for berries, you are scavenging for sealed calories. Urban survival isn't about nature, it's about infrastructure. Your ferro rod should be a Bic lighter. Your snare wire should be a pry bar. You're not harvesting resources from the earth, you are harvesting them from the built environment. A 12-inch wrecking bar opens vending machines, office cabinets, and janitorial closets. That is where the water is. That is where the snacks are. That is where the cleaning supplies are. The skill you need isn't fire starting, it's lock bypassing and mechanical leverage. Swap the fishing kit for a shimmering tool or a set of bump keys. Understand how commercial buildings are plumbed. Understand where the emergency generators are located, not to steal them, but to charge your devices. The city is a machine. Stop trying to treat it like a forest. Learn to operate the machine, even when it's broken. Speaking of broken machines, let's talk about your phone. You have all your plans, your maps, your emergency contacts in the cloud. Google Drive, iCloud, Evernote. When the grid goes down, the cloud evaporates. You are locked out of your own life. You need a system that works when the towers are dead. This is the second reason I built Protocol Survival. It has an encrypted offline mode. You can store digital copies of your deeds, your IDs, your local maps and your comms plan directly on the device's local storage. No signal required. It turns your phone into a standalone survival database. When you are standing at a FEMA checkpoint and they demand proof of residency and the internet is dead, you can pull up the cached deed on your phone. That is the difference between getting a cot in a shelter and getting turned back out into the cold. Secure your data now. Download the app. Sync it. Then disconnect and test it. protocolsurvival.com. Myth 7. No paperwork. The movie hero has no wallet, no ID, just grit. He walks past the checkpoint with a nod. In reality, bureaucracy doesn't die in a disaster. It gets harder. Imagine your apartment building burned down. You are standing in the rain. A bus pulls up to take victims to a shelter in the next county. The National Guard officer at the door asks for ID. You don't have it. You say, I live in 4B. He says, I can't verify that. He lets the family with the passports on the bus. He leaves you standing there. Why? Because he has to account for every soul he moves. Without ID, you are a ghost. You are a security risk. Later, you try to claim insurance. You have no policy number, no proof of address. You try to get your prescription meds refilled at a field hospital. You don't have your medical history. The doctor won't give you insulin or painkillers on your word alone. You survive the fire, but you die from the red tape. We live in a digital world. You probably don't have $20 in your pocket right now. You use Apple Pay. You use crypto. When the power goes out, The credit card terminals become paperweights. The ATM screens go black. Your Bitcoin wallet is inaccessible. But commerce doesn't stop. It just regresses. The bodega owner on the corner still has water and batteries. But he's not giving them away. He's selling them. And he's only taking cash, small bills. If you pull out a $100 bill to buy a $5 bottle of water, he's not going to have change. You just paid $100 for water. Or worse, you flash that 100 and someone behind you decides they want it. Your go bag needs a waterproof envelope with $500 in ones, fives, and tens. This is bribe money. It's gas money. It's get me across the bridge money. In the first 72 hours, cash is the only lubricant that keeps the gears turning for you. Movies use dirt as a makeup aesthetic. The hero is smudged with soot and sweat, looking rugged. They never show him sprinting to the bushes with explosive diarrhea. But that is the #1 killer in historical sieges and urban disasters. Disease. When the water stops, the toilets stop. If you live in a high-rise and the sewage pumps fail, the waste backs up. People start throwing buckets out the window. The street becomes a sewer. You touch a door handle, then you eat a protein bar. 2 days later, you are vomiting. You are dehydrated. In a survival situation, dehydration kills faster than a bullet. You are incapacitated. You can't carry that 80-pound bag now. You can't even walk. Your kids are watching you wither away because you didn't pack a bar of soap. It's not glorious, it's pathetic. And it's entirely preventable. Sanitation is your primary defensive shield. Your kit needs wet wipes. Lots of them. It needs hand sanitizer. It needs heavy-duty contractor trash bags, not for shelter, but for waste management. If you are sheltering in place, you need the twin bucket system. 1 bucket for liquids, 1 for solids, lined with bags and covered with kitty litter or sawdust. This keeps the smell down and the flies away. Flies carry the bacteria from your waste to your food. It sounds gross. It is gross. But talking about it saves your life. If you keep your hands clean, you keep your gut working. If your gut works, you can move. If you can move, you survive. Forget the tactical sewing kit for stitching wounds. You probably won't get stabbed. Pack the Imodium. Pack the soap. That is the medicine that will actually see use. Finally, the biggest lie of all. The lone wolf. The idea that you are better off alone. That other people are just mouths to feed. You see the prepper in the movie board up his windows, sit in his living room with a shotgun, and wait. That man dies. He dies because he has to sleep. He dies because he can't watch 360 degrees of his perimeter 24/7. Eventually, a group comes. A group of 5, 10, 20. They overwhelm him. Or he breaks his leg and there is no one to fetch water. Or he just goes insane from the isolation. Contrast that with the block that organizes. The neighbors who pool their food. The apartment complex that sets up a rotating watch schedule. One guy watches the door while the others sleep. They share skills. One is a nurse, one is a mechanic, one is a cook. That group survives. They have redundancy. They have morale. Your most valuable piece of gear is not in your bag. It's your relationship with your neighbors. Do you know their names? Do you know who has a generator? Who is elderly and needs help? Who is a veteran? Start building those bridges now. When the lights go out, a community that works together becomes a fortress. A community that is strangers to each other becomes a hunting ground. Don't be the weirdo with the gun who scares the neighbors. Be the guy with the extra batteries who helps them. Be the leader. Leadership is the ultimate survival skill. If you can organize 5 terrified people into a functioning team, you have increased your survival odds by 500%. The lone wolf is a myth written by people who have never been hungry or hunted. Packs survive. Solitaries perish. So, strip your bag, dump the weight, lose the fantasy. The movies want you to believe that survival is about dominating your environment. It's not. It's about enduring it. It's about being small, being fast, being clean, and being connected. It's about the boring things, the water key, the dust mask, the photocopy of your driver's license, the handshake with your neighbour. This isn't about becoming Rambo. It's about making sure that when the smoke clears, you are still standing there to rebuild. The gear doesn't make you a survivor, the mindset does. And the mindset is simple. Adapt. Don't fight the city, flow with it. Because the grid isn't what keeps the lights on in civilization, we are. Stay safe, stay ready.